We got a few more folks rolling in here. I know it takes some time to hop in from the Pathable platform, so I'll give it just a beat here and then we'll get started. I'm really excited to introduce our two speakers today. I'm watching that participant number keep bumping on up. So as soon as it levels out, we'll get going here. Welcome to those of you just joining us. We're going to get started here just shortly. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lydia Fuqua, and I will be your moderator for this session. Thank you so much for joining us for the Home Visitor Success Story panel. I'm going to introduce our two incredible panelists soon, but first I want to give you a couple of those old housekeeping reminders that by now you've heard a million times. So this session is being recorded. It's going to be available on the conference platform 1 hour after the session ends, so you can always revisit it if you need to. We definitely want to hear from you in the chat. Feel free to ask questions or comments. The presenters are going to ask for questions a little bit later on, so come prepared with your questions. You can use the conference platform chat feature because that chat will be recorded with the session, but you can also use the Zoom chat as well. We'll be checking on both. We want to remind you to please keep yourself muted unless our presenters ask otherwise. And with that, I'd love to turn it over to our two awesome panelists this afternoon, Andy and Starla. They have some really exciting stories to share with you to help pump us up and remind us how incredible this work is. So with that, I believe I'll turn it over to Andy first. Is that correct? All right, Andy, thanks for being here with us. Starla, thanks for being here with us. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Andy Fullerton. I am through Healthy Families in Wichita. So welcome. I just wanted to share a little bit of my background. I have a background in special education. So, but I've been doing nonprofit home visiting for about 21 years. And I just wanted to share some stories, with different families, different backgrounds. My first story is about a family who I started visiting. This was a while back. And it was because she was referred to us through, oddly enough, through the pediatrician. And why I say that is because the concern was that the child was not speaking. The child was 2.5, little girl, but she wasn't saying more than 10, maybe 12 words. Mom was concerned, or she was told she should be concerned because this wasn't her first child. She had older children, and this was the baby. So some of the things as a home visitor that might pop into your head is like, okay, she's the baby. Maybe people are talking for her. After just a couple of visits, I got to ask some questions of the parents and the family. The older siblings were older, like high school, where the 2.5-year-old, she had siblings. They would run around, do all their fun stuff, play. I would ask, like, what kind of strategies are you using? Are you talking to her? Of course, she's the baby. So when I first started, they were just assuming what she wanted. Mom knew her cues. Mom knew what she wanted when she wanted it. Baby could make a smack and mom knew, oh, she's hungry. Let's give her something to eat. So we started with strategies, things like that. After several visits, we went ahead and talked about here in Wichita, it would be Rainbow. So the local Part C program. And we got her referred. So with the program I was in, we were required to get physicals and shot records in. So I noticed that we did get that in, but the pediatrician didn't, other than having a slight concern. We got that typical oh, well, she'll grow out of it. She'll start talking soon enough, and things like that. And since they refer to us, of course, the assumption is the kiddo will start speaking pretty soon. The other thing that I noticed off of her physical, so I think that's why it's kind of important for us to get those physicals in, is that she had regular chronic ear infections. So she had like, I think it was like between 4 to 5 within the year, and one of her ears had ruptured, so there was like fluid coming out and things like that. Well, with some experience, you all may know that when speaking to a speech therapist or even physician, they don't want more than 3 ear infections within 1 year. Other than that, the doctor should be um, doing a hearing test either in the office or have her sent to go get a hearing check. And those are, they look like little headphones that they put in their ears, and then they hit a button so the noise can push through into the eardrum, and then the eardrum pushes it back out, and it's called an OAE. So those, I would say, even if your child doesn't get a lot of ear infections, but they do have some allergies, I would still get it done if it were my child, just because fluid behind the ear can cause some hearing loss. And for let me just give you a quick example. If everyone puts your fingers in your ears real quickly and push, now try and say something like, "Hi, my name is," so that muffled sound that you hear, that's what that child is hearing. So it's not clear, it's not precise. So you do want to have those that your child's hearing checked. If you've got allergies, they get chronic like sinus, runny nose, things like that. It's just something that I, as a mom, I would prefer to make sure that my child is hearing well. Um, so I was kind of concerned that the doctor hadn't made that referral to an ENT, just because the child had some major chronic allergies and hearing infections, and a leaky eardrum. So we referred. Not even a week later, the family got the call. They went to the ENT. Then I got the call from the ENT, and I was kind of, lack of a better word, scared, because I was like, oh no, what did I do? What happened? But it wasn't anything that I did. It was the ENT wanted to ask questions, but they also wanted to get the information of as to who the pediatrician was, because it was the same hospital that the pediatrician was in as to where I sent them for the ENT. And they were just amazed that the pediatrician hadn't referred. And well, long story short, the child ended up with some hearing loss on that side. But luckily, the ENT was able to help her along and get her a hearing aid and things like that. But this is a success story because the family trusted me enough to let me refer her not only to the Part C program, but to an ENT. And I don't know about you all, but some of our families, and since I'm bilingual, I serve a lot of Hispanic families, they're kind of cautious as to what kind of services they receive from who, um, because they feel like it's a bother to the physician, a bother to myself as the program coming in. And you just have to reiterate, this is why I'm here. I'm here to help you. I'm here to um, make those connections for you. So, and after a while, she did rely on me. So the child did end up with a hearing aid. The family was open to more community collaboration, between Part C, myself, the doctor. So when we enter a home and we get those releases of information from the pediatrician or other specialists, that's what those are for. So I would say get them done, communicate, because it's all good. Like, we're here as a team for that family. So that's my first story. Anybody have questions? Comments? Any? Okay. I'm sure someone will let me know. I see one. Great. Okay, so my second story, it's A little bit closer to my heart, only because I had just started with early Head Start, and but that's besides the point. I got this mom, and she was living in a home with like three other couples, so married couples. And I was kind of taken back. I didn't know what I was coming into. But she had just had a baby like 3 days ago. Well, the mom was telling me that she gave birth, everything went fine. So she requested to leave the hospital that next day, and she gave herself 1 day and then she went back to work, which she was not from this country. She was here illegally. So, of course, my red flags went like kaboom. Um, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say to her, and I didn't know how I could help her. So I just started asking a lot of questions. And excuse me, I did ask, like, okay, so in order to help you, I need to know what you think you need from me. And I just took down lots of notes. And with those questions, do you have Medicaid? Were you able to talk to a social worker when you delivered? Did you get your birth certificate, your social security number? Did someone talk to you about sober because you delivered and you don't want to get a big bill, and things like that. So we got on the ball. We got the child her Medicaid. Um, so knowing that she went back to work not even 2 days after she had delivered was of concern, and I asked her, well, who's watching the child? So she's in this home, and to this day I don't even know how she came across living with three married couples. Um, so and at that point I didn't want to ask too many questions because I didn't want to offend her or scare her off. Again, she was not here legally, and the assumption is that programs coming into your home to help you. And I do that just because some of our families who are illegal are very scared. So that's one thing that engaging your families, being soft and caring immediately is one of those things to make sure that to help them trust you. Um, so we did all of that. There was a lot of support. I had her for about, I want to say 4 years, um, because we did end up enrolling her in early Head Start, but between that time and her and the child going to early Head Start, she did get pregnant and have another child. But from there on, there was more support provided because of mom's history. Mom was abused as a child. There was trauma as a child. The relationships from the time I got her to the time she graduated, there was domestic violence in there. There was also domestic violence with um, guns in the home, things like that. So, and that goes to my presentation from yesterday. Safety comes first. So make sure that you're always safe. If you ever feel unsafe, do not complete the visit. Make up whatever excuse you need to and get out. But so I did provide a lot of education because of mom's personal background. I had to give a lot of education on discipline, um, and what depression looked like, and postpartum. So, and sometimes the repeating the lessons on how to take care of yourself when you have postpartum or depression and things like that, that's okay. You can do that. It helps the family to get those reminders that it's okay. It's not your fault. And what can we do to move forward, whether it's therapy, if some people choose to do medication or they choose not to, that's up to them and uh, their med person or whoever the doctor is that they're seeing. Um, let's see. We did struggle a lot with, she moved a lot. She was very resourceful though. Like if she did have funds for a bill or something, she would cook food, and she knew the sites where she could go and sell her food, so she could get some extra income coming in. So that was always great. Um, but on the upside, after she graduated, of course, they graduate and you don't see them, you don't get to, talk or anything to see where they're at. Well, a few years ago, she found me on Facebook. And I got a message from her, and she was super excited and very, um, she praised me, because she was like, "You were the only person, you were like my angel," she said. And I was like, "No, this is what I do. I help families and I help them for a reason. Those are my reasons." But now she has her own business, and she paints homes on the insides, perfectly painted homes on the inside. But she and her teenage daughters work with her. She's got a few other staff members, but she has a home that she can call her own. She's got vehicles that are hers under her name, is what she said. And she's not married, but she's got four beautiful girls. And I told her I was the one who was super proud of her and excited um, that she could make the progress to get where she's at. And now she knows how to push her children, her girls, to be the best that they can be and the best moms because they have a really good example. That was my second story. Any questions? Yay. I could give you more if you guys want to, but if anyone has a story they want to share, that's okay too. Starla, I think you're up, ma'am.
Starla, you're muted.
Okay, is that better? Okay. Oh, I'm kind of nervous. This is my very first time presenting, and so bear with me. But uh, I appreciate I appreciate this opportunity to share a couple of success stories as a home visitor for KCSL Healthy Families. Um, Prior to coming to KCSL, I worked for the local foster care agency in the county as a family support worker. Many of my coworkers went to school to get their degree in social work to help children and their families. They had no intention in removing children from their home to make lots of money. But we all know that's how the foster care system is looked at. If I had $1 for every time I heard that they're taking my pockets, I'd be rich and vacationing in Hawaii right now. What I witnessed while working in the foster care system was how high the caseloads were. What ended up happening was most of the time the workers could only focus on what was required by DCF and the courts. The family was given a case plan with so many tasks that had to be completed in a 6-month period, but often were not given the resources to complete them. So when the opportunity came up to be on the prevention side of things as a home visitor, I jumped at the chance. The first story I'm going to share is about a single mom who experienced both sides of the system. This mother was placed in foster care herself as an infant and had lots of childhood trauma. She had her first child at the age of 16, and by the age of 19, she had 3 children. All 3 of her children were removed due to neglect and the conditions of the home. I was assigned to supervise her visits with her children. As a family support worker, fairly new at the job, I was trained to log everything I saw in the visits. So what I did is I had a pad and a pen and paper or pen, and as the visit was going on, I would write down everything that I saw, the interaction, all, everything that was happening in the visits. And this was reported to the court. So how do you all think this mom felt during these visits? How do you think she felt, me sitting in the corner just watching her just writing down on a pad and paper. Nervous, judged. I just often think about if it was flipped, how I would feel in that position. It's just, but that's how we were taught. We had to document how the visits were going for the court, so they knew if visits could be moved forward or not. So eventually, this mom started using drugs, started missing visits, and spiraled out of control. All 3 children were placed together and later adopted by the same family. So fast forward 2018, when our Healthy Families program began in Barton County, I saw her name come across as a prenatal referral. So I begged and begged to be assigned as her worker, and they weren't sure about it. Good idea, because I worked with her before, and she didn't know if that was going to be a good idea, but they finally let me be her worker. I will never forget the first visit. So I'm walking up to the house. She's sitting on the porch smoking a cigarette, and I see her mouth the words, "Oh, bleep." And she said it was her boyfriend's idea to sign up for our program. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. I explained our new program and how we had no connection to DCF or the foster care agency. I explained that this was a volunteer program. It was not required for her to participate. I talked about how we focus on our strength-based, and we're not here to remove kids. We're here to keep families together. So I asked her to give me a second chance, and then if she decided she wanted a different worker, then she could request it. Eventually, she started to trust me and let me in the home. She was only 7 weeks along, and the conditions of the home were about the same as when I worked with her before. The home was cluttered, the sink was full of dishes, the carpet needed vacuumed. Do you think there was that I needed to make a report to DCF at that time? Anybody? Well, so I'm sorry about that. So I went in looking through a different lens this time. There was no safety issues. She was prenatal. The baby wasn't here yet. So, I noted things, put them in my back pocket, and just, later on, we would address them as they came up. So using our strength-based training, I used the curriculum to focus on bonding and attachment. I didn't focus on the conditions of the home, the graffiti of bad words written on the wall. As we started to build a strong relationship, we talked about her childhood trauma, her mental health, past drug use, and how it affected her parenting. When the baby was born, I joked about the bad words written on the wall and suggested that she change it to "I like Rick" before her son could start reading. If you can imagine what she had written on the wall, I won't go there, but you can imagine. She laughed, and at the next visit, the walls were cleaned off. Her son is now 3 years old, and she has never missed a visit with me. She has a steady job. She owns her own home. She has her own transportation. It just warms my heart to see the strong bond that she has with her son. She teaches him about her emotions. He knows when he can tell her when he's frustrated. He can tell her when he's sad. "I need a hug, Mom." He's so smart. He's, the ASQ screenings. I've never had any concerns on there. She's just doing awesome, and I can just see her self-esteem just grow and grow as he gets older. So we use the strength-based curriculum, bonding, attachment, brain development, all the different things, and we use activities and crafts. So what do you think was the difference between the first time I worked with her and how I'm working with her now. What do you think is different? How do you think why she responded differently? I'm not seeing the chat. Anybody?
Someone
any
said
comments?
relationship. Someone said you were there to help, not judge, strengths-based approach, your perspective. You were able to show her that you're there to support her. You aren't a threat now.
There
Lots
you
of
go.
comments like that coming through.
Right. She was older. That's a good one too. She was older, and she owned her mistakes, and she realized what she was doing, and she knew that she was not in a position to take care of her children at that point. She now has a very good relationship with the adoptive family. They call her mommy and her first name. She's allowed to send them birthday presents. They send her birthday cards. It's just so awesome to see where she's at now from where she was. And it wasn't the fault of, it's just this, our home visiting, a strength-based home visiting program is so amazing, because you focus, even if you can find one little thing that is going right in that home and focus on that, that builds that trust. And then when you need to address something, we're now able to talk about the conditions of the home, and do you think that's safe for him? And she still has a sink full of dirty dishes, but that is not a safety issue for him at this point. She's awesome. It just warms my heart, and she always thanks me. And she's the one that did all the work. She never asked for anything. I just gave her the resources, and she went out and did it. I was just there to cheer her on, and she's just an awesome testament to our program. I just love it. And we talk in the other, your why. That's my why, is to give people chances that they never had before. And I do struggle with sometimes still putting on the St. Francis or the foster care agency hat, because I'll go into supervision and, oh my gosh, this is going on. And so I have to manage that, the different roles, and make sure I'm still going in it with the same outlook that we need to do. So the other story I have to share is I had a mom that was referred to us due to domestic violence. She had a PFA against the father when we started meeting. She was so shy and timid. I could barely get 2 words out of her. I knew I would talk and talk and talk, and the only way I knew she was listening if she would laugh a little bit, or if I tried to make a joke, and if she didn't laugh, then I knew that was not the right thing to say. So she made a mistake and took her son to see his dad, and a family member reported it to DCF. So her son was removed and placed with his grandmother. I continued to work with her. She had supervised visits with her son. So I would coordinate the visits. When she had her supervised visits, I would take our curriculum to the visits and have mom do the activities with her son, and slowly saw her build her self-esteem. And the case team also saw the interaction and the bonding that mom had. There was never a question with this mom about bonding, and that she loved her son, that she wanted the best for him. She just got involved in domestic violence, and we all know how that goes when you get involved with somebody like that, and they beat you down, and your esteem goes, it's no longer exists. So she worked hard. She completed all her tasks, and she was able to get her son reintegrated back in the home within a year after he was removed. She graduated from our program last year, and she recently is engaged to be married to an old flame, and became pregnant with her second child. She contacted me, wanted to enroll in our program again. And she was disappointed to learn that she wasn't able to enroll. So I referred her to parents as teachers, and she was meeting with them, and her son's enrolled in preschool and doing great. And I'll run into them occasionally at Walmart, and they, her son doesn't remember me, and I think that's a good thing. I think, it's sometimes it's like, oh, it's about me. Look at me, look at me. Oh, you remember me. And that's not what it's about. We're a small part of their story. And I just think it's awesome. So both of these families were regulars at our family nights. They came to all our family nights. It's just our program. We started out brand new, and we had the stigma of, because it says Kansas Children's Service League, they automatically assumed we were with DCF, the other foster care agency in the town. And we worked very hard to get ourselves separated. And now our families refer their friends, and that's how we get a lot of our referrals now, is from friends and family members. And it's just an awesome program. It's so rewarding, and you don't think families. I have one family right now that I'm working with that she is it's so frustrating, and it's a struggle. And my supervisor reminds me that she is listening. Even though she talks over me the entire visit, she is listening, because I'll go into the visit and I'll see her doing things with the baby that she had her in a carrier, not every visit in a carrier, on her back in a carrier, not on the floor, no tummy time. So I use, with this family, I have to use video, and I can't just provide her the information with work. I have to get creative, use video, pictures. And so I brought her the pictures of the flathead syndrome, and that really woke. And so now she really is getting on tummy time. And I can tell that the baby's head is starting to, it's not getting any worse. So I just have to remind myself that I'm not here to fix it. I'm here to just support and guide them. And she's doing a really, really great job. So like I said, everybody that's home visitors, I'm sure you all have some stories to share with the same. So we're all doing amazing work. And we all just got to remember why we do it. And I honestly believe that this will be reflected down in years to come with our family's children's children. I think it will start breaking generations. It might not break the generation with the families that you work with, but the children that you work with. I really do believe in this program. So I appreciate you letting me share my stories and being the center of attention. My coworkers know how much I like that. So anybody else has anything to share, a story or questions or comments? Please feel to unmute and join in.
Starla, hi, this is Kelly.
Hi.
I just wanted to pick up on a comment that Susie Green put in the chat where she said you moved from mandated reporting to mandated supporting. And I think that's such a great comment, just to be a reminder to all of us with these stories that as Kansas looks at making that shift within our home visiting programs for all of us, this is really all about what we do, that we're not in there. We're there to protect children, and sometimes that does mean having to make a report, but we're also there to be supporters, and the stories that both of you shared are such great examples of ways that you can advocate for your families and you can support them so that they never get to the place where a report has to be made, but that they can, the kids can stay with their parents and they can be safe and they can thrive. So thanks for sharing your stories, both of you. Those were really great.
I love that comment. I think that needs to be on a t-shirt for KCSL.
Well, for
That is
all the
very
home
great. I
visiting,
love that.
yeah, for all home visiting programs
Yeah,
in
there you
general,
go.
I think it's
There you go.
great.
Exactly. I think I might print that off and put it in my office.
I want
That was
that
a
t-shirt
great,
too. Miss Susie Green, you've always been a good uh home visitor, educator, director. So high five to you, Miss. I just wanted to share a quick comment. There's a lot of us on here from different counties, and I have Spanish speaking families, and there are other families who of different languages. So all I wanted to say was get to know your community and the resources that are out there for all of our families, not just our English speakers. But it's very hard when you go do a home visit and you don't have a translator. And down the line, somewhere someone told me um, you're going to touch someone's life, and even the hardest family that you have that you go visit, you're touching them one way or another. So whether it's a little thing like, take a deep breath when you're upset, or if it's a bigger strategy, somewhere down the line, they're going to think of you and what you taught them. So keep being positive.
that's awesome. Another thing that I've learned over the years is I'm a very loud, boisterous person in general. Like that's just how I am all the time. And some families do not respond to that. So I have to check myself and just remind myself that you have to meet the families where they're at. If they're not like, if they're not, that they don't like a lot of jokes and they don't like to, you've got to really be mindful of the family that you're working in, what their background is and what, how to work with them. And they'll let you know. I can read body language really well, so I know if I've crossed the line. So then I apologize, then I admit, like we redos, I admit, I'm not perfect either. Nobody's perfect. And so I've really learned that a lot. And I'm still working on that, and probably continue to work on that until I'm old and gray, because that's just, but anyway.
Any other questions for our awesome panelists? Thank you both so much for sharing with us. You did an incredible job. And just to echo what everyone's sharing in the chat, it's just so uplifting to hear your experiences and how we can apply that, in the work that we do every day. So thank you for taking the time to share just a slice, I'm sure, of all the experiences you have with the work that you do. We're very, very grateful for you both.
Thank you to all. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure everybody's got stories to share that are just as inspiring. So
Yes, thank you.
Well said. Well said. All right, everybody. Our next session, the closing session, begins at 4. So you do have a little bit of a break here, but we hope that you come back and join us, excuse me, at 4 o'clock for our closing session. In the meantime, use the restroom, get a drink, stretch your legs, and we'll see you back at 4. Thank you again, Andy and
thank
Starla.
you.
We appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye.